What's up, y'all? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy blessed Monday to you guys. I pray that you guys are doing well on this morning. Hey, Stephanie, blessings to you. Blessings, blessings, blessings. How y'all doing so far? It's 9:36 where I am. The spring vibes are still very much so alive. I am enjoying it. God knows I have been enjoying the sunny weather, the not so cold weather. I am not complaining about it one bit. Even as I just think about, just the appreciation, and this is not the word, even as I just think about the appreciation, that I have for spring, just the gratefulness. It's like, the winter was cold, right? We go through cold seasons, we go through rough seasons, but it's those rough seasons, those uncomfortable seasons that really make you appreciate the good in what God is doing in your next season. I'm gonna say that again. Even as and this is not the word, hey Visha, this is not even the word, but even as I can sit here and just truly just embrace this new thing, just truly just enjoy this sunny weather, this warm weather, it's like winter was not so fun. I'm gonna just be real. We all have seasons that are not so fun. Give me a one if you could say, Apostle. I have some seasons in my life that have been not so fun. Maybe I'm being transitioned out of a season that was not so fun. It is those not so fun seasons that really and truly make you appreciate what God is doing in the right now. I'm going to say that again. It is those not so much, you know, seasons, right? That really make you appreciate what God is doing right now. And I'm gonna be real, sometimes it doesn't seem like it. Sometimes it don't even seem like it. When you going through, you can't even fathom what the new is gonna feel like. You can't even fathom, just being able to not be in whatever the situation is, whatever the predicament is. You absolutely cannot, right? But it is, again, it is those rough seasons of life that truly bring about a sense of just gratefulness, a sense of gratitude. And that's because the things that are before us are so much better than where we've been. Blessings to you, Natasha. I'm going to say that again. The seasons that are before you are so much better than where you've been, where you currently are. I'm going to say it again. The seasons, right? The seasons that are before us, the blessings that are before us, they're so much better than like where we've been. Even now, God is leading me to just think about like even my wilderness in that season of life, because I had been stuck so long. I really couldn't even think about, it was hard for me to even dream about being out of that season because the struggle was that real in that season of life. The stretching was that intense in that season of my life. But even as I just think about that first place, right, that I moved into, baby, I was so grateful to just be out of that season. I didn't care what it looked like. I didn't care about any of that, right? And so, I say all of this to say, like, today just needs to be a day where we can just sit and be grateful in advance. I just need somebody to just tell your neighbor, be grateful in advance. Be grateful in advance. Listen, be grateful in advance. Because in this hour, within this season of spring itself, in the natural realm, many of us are going to really be entering into that season where we got a lot to be grateful for, where we're just appreciative that we made it out, grateful that what seemed to be a forever season was in fact not a forever season. I'm going to say it again. Many of us are literally entering into that time. And so, that is, a bit of kind of where my mindset has been at on today. Just be grateful in advance because things are shifting, whether you see it, whether you feel like it, whatever the case may be, things always shift. The seasons always change. They always change. And so our declaration on this morning is just be you, right? We're still talking about, new seasons and entering into like the new thing that God has for you. But the declaration is just be you. Like, just be you. I don't know if anybody has ever experienced this, but like when you've like been in like a struggle season or a struggle type of situation for so long, like sometimes like when God does begin to change the situation, sometimes when God does begin to elevate you, you feel an intense amount of pressure, right? You feel an intense amount of pressure that literally makes you feel like, am I ready for this? Anybody ever felt that way? Where God is doing something in your life, sending a blessing, and you just like kind of question. You have so much fear because you've grown accustomed to the disappointment. You've grown accustomed to the frustration. You've grown accustomed to being blindsided. You've grown accustomed to having to fight, fight whatever it is. And so sometimes when God springs in the new thing, we feel like we're not enough, even with knowing that like that God has prepared us, even with being grateful. Like sometimes there is just a sense of, God, can I handle this? Can I handle this? Like, can I legitimately handle this? And so this morning I was having one of those mornings where I was just like, can I handle this? And you know what God told me? He said, child, the only thing that I need you to do as I'm ushering you into a new season, bringing certain promises to pass in your life, all I need you to do is be yourself. You don't have to be anybody other than who you are coming out of the season that you come out of. You don't have to be somebody else to be blessed by me. You don't have to overdo it, right? To receive this blessing. Just be you. Somebody on this morning, you need to just literally tell yourself, I am enough. Who God has created me to be, the work that he's been doing in me since my journey with him, like I am enough. So if God is blessing me, it means that I'm qualified, right? It means that I'm more than able. It means that I am more than prepared to receive what God has for me, baby. You can't say, God, I want to be successful and then be scared of being successful. You can't be saying, God, I want those living arrangements, but be scared, right? To receive it or question whether or not, because the truth of the matter is that like when God knows that we ain't ready, meaning when he knows that we don't yet possess the skill set, or that it's not to a place that makes us equipped to handle the blessing, how many people know God will block it? I'm sure everybody on here has had a moment where God has blocked something in your life, whether it was a job, whether it was an apartment, whether it was a vehicle, whether it was a relationship, and he blocked it because sometimes it ain't it. And sometimes we are just simply not yet ready. So when God presses go, when God says it's time for something, we have to start trusting that if God looks at me and says that I'm ready for what I've been standing for, then I need to go and get it. It was the same thing with the children of Israel. I think deep down the issue was, can we do this? Like, are we even qualified enough? Like, God, do you see the people on the other side? Like, we small, they big. They strong, we weak. We coming out of a struggle season. Like, are we enough? Do we have, the skill set to overtake this land? But it was the faith of just two of them. Because those two, Joshua and Caleb, you see, they weren't looking at it from the realm of doing it in their own strength, getting into the promised land in their own strength. They put their reliance on God. And a lot of times we are that same exact way, where when we meet the promise and when process meets promise, right? A lot of us tend to look at it from the aspect, which is where those questions come into. We look at it from the aspect of doing it in our own strength. But did you bring yourself out of the wilderness in your own strength? A lot of us can truly say, no, it was God's grace. It was his mercy. It was him favoring me. It was him protecting me. If it had not been for God, I would not have made it out of some of those rough seasons of my life. And so for a lot of people, the promise becomes scary when we do it or think about doing it in our own strength. Am I making sense? And so what God is saying on today is, not only does he want you to just embrace who the process has grown you to be, but he wants you to understand that if he says yes to something in your life, you need not second guess it. You need not be double-minded about that yes. I'm going to say that again. You need not be double-minded Hear me now. In that, yes, you need not, because it's not by might nor by strength, but by his spirit. We don't need to be thinking about entering into the promised land, overtaking the promised land in our own strength, in our own brain logic, or whatever the case may be. But God is simply saying it happens by his spirit. You are enough. You are good enough. You are qualified. And because you are all of those things, God says receive. Somebody type those words, that word in on the screen. Receive. Receive. Receive that elevation to your business, that elevation to your finance. Receive whatever the promise is of what God is doing in this season of your life. Receive. It's crazy how, a lot of times we think that just being double-minded revolves around, we feel like being double-minded just revolves around, like, the season or the moment when we're in the wilderness, or what we see don't look like what God said. But do you not know, like, you can battle double-mindedness when it comes to receiving what God has for you? Because a lot of times we do go back and forth. God, are you sure? Are you sure? Right? We be having so much fear. The Lord says in this season, the double-mindedness has to stop if you're going to receive it. If you're going to be able to receive what he has for you, the double-mindedness, it has to stop. I'll say it again. It has to stop. How we get all the way to the promise and then start being double-minded when we done faked it this entire way? I'm going to say that again. How we get all the way, to the promise and then start being double-minded when we have faked it through some of the roughest situations, the roughest seasons of our life. How we wait? How do we go from, fear to faith back to fear? Like, for real. How you going to get to the promise when God is saying yes and then start doubting him? He wouldn't have stamped a yes on you if you were not ready, if it was not time. He wouldn't have pressed go on certain things if it literally were not time. So if you do anything else in this season of life, what God is saying is believe. The same way that you believe me in the wilderness, the same way that you believe that I would get you out of those storms, those trials and tribulations, believe that I'm that same God that's going to ensure, come on, somebody, that's going to ensure that you get the victory, that you're able to freely and successfully operate within the confines of your promised land, of what I've promised you, whatever that is for you. Believe him. God is still the same God that got you through that. And because we know that his nature does not change, we can rest assured in the fact that when we meet the promise, we don't have to, we ain't got to perform a part for God. We ain't got to play the part. We ain't got to act the part. We just need to stay true to who he's called us to be and not waver. And a lot of times God waits for us to get to that point where we become solidified in knowing who he's called us to be. Where we become solidified in knowing what he's called us to do, what he's called us to steward, how he wants us to operate. He waits till we get to that point where, what's understood don't even have to be said because it's embedded in you. It's embedded in you. Hey, Miss Allen, it be embedded in you. And so, that's what God wanted me to talk about. You are enough. What God has done within you, in your life, it's enough for you to freely receive what he has for you. It's enough for you to freely be blessed by him. It's enough for you to freely be prospered by him. Like, it is enough. It's enough. And so that is the broadcast, y'all. That is it. That's it. Just be you. Nothing more. Nothing less. Just be you. And so listen, to those of you guys that feel led to sow, there are one or two ways for you to sow. You can sow via PayPal, or you can sow via the Cash App. The seed title is Just Be You. The seed title is literally Just Be You. And Miss Allen, before this day is out, you got money coming to you. Before this day is out, you have money coming to you, Miss Allen. Before this day is out, you have money coming to you. Like, be watchful over your accounts. Just be watchful. Because the Lord says to tell you again, before this day is out, you got money coming to you. And so that's it. The seed title again is Just Be You. Before I get off of here, do I have anyone that needs to be sown for? Do I have anyone that needs to be sown for? And also, for those of you guys that need prayer or have testimonies, you guys can send it to prayer.thoughtsbyt at gmail.com. I'm going to sow for one of you guys, but do I have anyone that can sow for Miss Allen and Visha? Do I have anyone on here that can sow for, sow for either Miss Allen or Visha? You can sow for both if you feel led to. But a GBUC for Miss Allen Visha. If you can, whether it is $1, whether it is a few cents, I just ask that you just type in God is faithful. These are all individuals that freely sow for anyone that ever needs to be sowing for. When they have it, they will sow it. When they have it, they will sow it. Blessings to you, Mrs. Cree. For those of you guys just now popping on, listen, God is faithful. God is faithful. Listen, for those of you guys that are on, man, you got to catch this word from the very beginning. To God be the glory, Stephanie. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. And so listen, that is it. I love y'all. I am rooting for you guys. So until next time, y'all, peace.